I talk, you listen, or you turn the channel. Either way, I'm still going to talk. Welcome to Unfiltered. As you can see, different colors this week. And I want to explain green, white, and orange are the colors of the Irish flag. Now, I'm not sure if this is the way it's supposed to be or if this is the way it's supposed to be. But either way, I don't know if there's an upside down or a right side up. But green, orange, and yellow, the colors of green, orange, and white, the colors of the Irish flag. And the reason it's green, white, and orange, green represents the people of the South, or the Catholics. Orange represents the people of the North, or the Protestants. And the white is supposed to represent the peace that brings them together as a nation. And so for this St. Patrick's Day episode, because St. Patrick's Day is Monday, and I've got everything you ever wanted to know about St. Patrick's Day, maybe a little more, maybe some stuff you didn't even think you wanted to know. But anyway, that's coming up a little bit later in the show. I want to start by reminding everybody of our contest. Send me the date that you think that it's going to first hit 70 degrees in Keene. Send it to headforlaughs@hotmail.com. I think Andrea's going to try and run it for us. There we go. And it worked this week, too. Hot damn. So send me your guess for when it's going to be 70 degrees. And the winner will get something I haven't decided yet, but something associated with spring and nice weather. Yeah. All right. Although this story doesn't shock or surprise me in the least, I couldn't let it slip by. This is another one that's right up my alley. This Governor Eliot Spitzer, all over the news. And it's all you hear about. Governor Spitzer, the prostitute, what she looked like, the money transfers, internet sting, I guess it was, or some stuff. And it's the same old story. She's a prostitute, a high-priced prostitute, apparently, because $2,000 an hour. How can you pay $2,000 an hour? It's just, and the thing is like my mother, I was screaming at my mother over kind of going over some of the points I was going to make on the show. And she says, well, what were they doing for an hour? The same thing that they did in the movie Pretty Woman. Sometimes nothing. But I don't know, this guy, they're going to, because of the media, it's all out in the open, and everybody's going to harp on him. Basically, the only thing he did wrong was cheat on his wife. You know, and lie about it. I mean, we've seen that. We saw Senator Larry Craig, Bill Clinton. Apparently now this Mrs. Spitzer's probably got as much pull that she could probably run for president. You know, if you have a husband in politics that screws around on you, run for president. That'll get him back. My whole point, at least he was creating jobs. At least he created one job in New York. Can't take that away from him. And apparently he's resigned now. So, and he was busted by technology. That's the whole thing, you know, all the wire transfers and stuff that came up. Back in the old days, probably, I mean, John Kennedy probably had prostitutes. But he paid cash for them. No traces. It's probably happened all the way down. Every president's probably had mistresses. They just paid in cash, and nobody knew. They kept stuff quiet. It's the way it went. I mean, Michael Douglas in The American President.
Service? Is that why it's called Secret Service?
That might be why it's called Secret Service, yeah. I mean, Michael Douglas in The American President. We made a movie about a president who's a horn dog. You know? And then we're upset when a politician actually acts like that. And after all, aren't we all prostitutes? Really? I mean, I sell my body, my energy, my time to Athens Pizza every week. I do things for them, they give me money. This is the American system. We're all prostitutes in one manner of speaking or another.
We're all getting screwed.
And, yeah. I mean, and look, the government gives us our income tax check. And we pay the government. Isn't the government a prostitute for us? Kind of? I don't know. The only thing that really blew my mind about this whole story is $2,000 an hour. You know, what the hell am I schlepping pizzas around for? God. I mean, Richard Gere showed both sides of the story. Back in the 70s, he made a movie called American Gigolo, which when I saw that, I went, that's the profession for me. He was getting paid tens of thousands of dollars to dress up nice and take old women out to banquets and stuff, and to be company for them. And then he showed the flip side in Pretty Woman, where he was the one that was hiring. And he didn't want her just for sex. He paid her, what was it, like the $200,000 for a week just to hang out with him. Some people are like that. Maybe they can't make real friends and relationships. They have to buy them, which is a sad, sad thing. Of course, if he didn't have that much money, he wouldn't spend $2,000 an hour. But it's all over the news. Apparently, I heard Anderson Cooper had a street pimp on his show last night, on Wednesday night, and interviewed a street pimp on AC 360. About that whole deal. It's kind of crazy, huh? All right. Through with that story anyway. He was stupid, just for the fact that he spent that much money. Crew call, I guess. Sweet, camera one, we got Rob back again, standing next to the green panel. Makes you look kind of green, Rob. And on camera three, we got Greg, as usual. Between him and Bruce and Andrea, those are the crew members that have been here from the start. Speaking of Bruce and Andrea, in the booth. How you doing, guys?
How you doing out there tonight, Rick?
All right. Andrea's all happy. She liked the new colors. She loves
the new colors on the set, and you got her a new headset.
Well, Lee did.
Well, Lee, yeah, that's right. Lee picked up some new headsets
for
the station,
and once again,
this one she can actually wear it, don't squish her head so hard and give her headaches. So
and they're cheaper than the other ones. Once again, Lee was out bargain shopping, and it looks like they're very nice headsets, and he said they're like half of what the other ones were, or something like that. But
awesome.
That's a great thing, yeah. Yeah, it's a good thing we got a guy like Lee to do that.
He does such a great job on going out to try and provide the best equipment for the least amount of money.
Exactly. Hey, you know something, Bruce?
What's that, buddy?
Sunday is Rob's birthday.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, he's going to be 17.
17. Awesome.
Growing and an adult and still in school. Smart, great thing. Yeah. So, Andrea has NASCAR news?
She's got plenty of NASCAR news to just, well, not a whole lot actually went on this week, but I did have one thing I wanted to mention. My dad, being a volunteer with the Red Cross, I mentioned a couple of weeks ago that the Red Cross is having a chili luncheon They had one this past Sunday, and they plan on doing it again this coming Sunday and the last Sunday of the month. They're going to skip Easter. Obviously, Easter's not the best day for chili, but they did it this past week, and it was a pretty good deal. Everything went well, but it's going to be all the chili you can eat for a very small fee, and beverages will be provided. Proceeds go to benefit the Red Cross and help boost their funds because they've been doing quite a bit here lately with the different catastrophes that have gone on. They always try and kick in when they can.
Yep.
But just to let everybody out there know that the Red Cross will once again be doing it this Sunday down at the local Red Cross chapter on Court Street. So with that, I'll turn it over to Andrea and let her fill everybody in on the world of NASCAR, what happened this past week. So,
Like, get all bored and start taking a nap while she does NASCAR, because some of us realize she's an Edith Bunker type when it comes to telling stories.
yes, I know.
She gets to the point, but it takes her a while, and
there's a few bushes that we have to go around with her sometimes when she's letting us know something, but
it's all right. But that's just Andrea, and that's why we love her.
That's why this week I wrote her notes for her. So.
Okay. She'll still find a way to stretch them out.
And if you had any doubts, just hang on. First of all, I want y'all to take a real good look at this. I feel special with my new headset, see? And thank you, Lee. It's great. It doesn't squish my noggin up. Like Bruce said, NASCAR didn't have a whole lot going on, but it did have some stuff. I'll give you a few of the top racers, the first five. They raced at Atlanta. Kyle Busch, a little skunk, won the race, and it was the first win for Toyota. However, Tony Stewart, his teammate driving a Toyota, also came in second. Then there was Dale Jr., Greg Biffle, and Jeff Gordon. So not a bad top five. Denny Hamlin, I'm sorry, he came in 15th, and unfortunately for me, my Martin Truex Jr. came in 21st. But Bruce won the pool again.
Ah.
You know, last year we weren't having a whole lot of luck with that, but this year he's doing good.
He didn't win at all last year, or much anyway.
A couple of times, and that was it. Poor Junior, I swear, he blew up so many times. It was pathetic. Now the next thing, I'll give you the first 12 for standings. And the standings are basically the first 12 are what they go for the chase. And as they stand right now, that's Kyle Busch, the little skunk, and then Greg Biffle, Kevin Harvick, Ryan Newman, Jeff Burton, Dale Jr. is in 6th, and Bruce is real excited about that. Casey Kane, Tony Stewart, which is Greg's guy, he's in 8th place. Brian Vickers, Kurt Busch, and even though my guy has been not finishing real well, Martin Truex is in 11th, and then Matt Kenseth comes up 12th. This race at Bristol that's coming up, and that's where they're heading to, and it's going to be so much fun. It's a short track, half-mile, a lot of steep banking, beating and banging. It is one of the most awesome, exciting races of the whole season. And that's where they're at this weekend. So, yeah, like Bruce said, the only thing better is the night race at Bristol. Now, but this will be Sunday at 1:30 on Fox. Now, the other thing is, after this race, they start over with, their standings are done differently as far as the top 35. They're no longer based on last year's. So there's going to be some guys that are in real serious doo-doo. They're going to have to be really fighting to get into the top, 35. They're going to have, some of them are going to actually have to race their way in now.
Wow.
The other thing is, last week at Atlanta was kind of boring, and a lot of it had to do with the tires. And Tony Stewart and Dale Jr. were really some of the few drivers that came up, and they were very, very vocal about how they thought the Goodyear tires that were brought were really, really bad. Tony Stewart, in fact, said that as far as he was concerned, they were so bad, he was going home and he was taking every Goodyear tire he owned off of all of his vehicles, and he was putting Firestone or Hoosiers on. He didn't care, but he was getting rid of them.
Wow.
So he was very, very upset with them. And the last little bit of news is Roush decided not to appeal the decision to fine Carl Edwards the 100 points for his little fiasco in, what was it, Vegas, his infraction in Vegas with the oil cover being totally off. So that's pretty much it in the news, but hang on for Sunday's ride at Bristol. And it's back to you, Rick.
Thanks, Andrea.
Was that too Edith Bunkerish?
Excuse me, no, that was, Bruce is a pretty good writer. Maybe I should have him write my stuff too. On top of the 12 hours a day at the needle plant. And
Well, we're only doing 10 hours a day, so it's not as bad. But, the reason Goodyear, they had some tire trouble last year at Atlanta, so they brought one this year that was basically bulletproof. And Junior said that they paint a center line on the tire itself at the manufacturer, and he says that after 30 laps, that center line was still on there. The tires had not worn.
wow.
So they couldn't even put a dent in them, so they just had no grip. It wasn't a fun race. It was kind of boring, so
Yeah.
Goodyear said that they will not bring that tire back to another track, and they're going to run the ones that they ran last year at Texas. So
Well, yeah, because the point is to wear the tires and get the rubber from the tire onto the track, right?
right, wear out the tires, so then they lose grip. But these didn't have any grip from the start and never got grip during the run, so that's why they were a little upset. So
Wow.
hopefully this week at Bristol, it's going to be a good show.
Excellent. All right. Let's talk a little bit about gas prices. Gas prices made another big jump this week. I've seen between today on the way down here for taping, it was $3.15. In some places, it was up as high as $3.19 in other places in town. And that's upsetting, isn't it? But not quite as upsetting as Washington State, where the average is $3.49 a gallon. California, where it's $3.58 a gallon. Hawaii, where it's $3.61 a gallon. Horrible. Huge gas prices everywhere in the United States. But smile. Because in Spain, you'd pay $5.64 a gallon. In the UK, $6.23 a gallon. In France, $7.62 a gallon. In Italy, $7.91 a gallon. And hold on to your socks. In Germany, $8.26 a gallon. It's no wonder the Germans are always so mad. $8.26 a gallon in Germany. We've got nothing to complain about. Absolutely nothing. But even at $3.15, $3.19, they're saying that we could see $4 a gallon gas soon. And I'm just waiting for the end of the quarter, because I swear if I see another $10 to $20 billion oil profit for these oil companies, I'm going to go psycho. Plain and simple. I mean, over the past 2 years, since I started doing this show, every quarter, Mobil, Exxon, all these other oil companies, every quarter are reporting $10 or $20 billion in profit. There's no reason we should have to pay $3 to $4 a gallon for gas. And as a people in America, we should stand up and demand that the oil companies not make such huge profits. You know why they do make such huge profits and are allowed to get away with it? Dick Cheney was one of the vice presidents of Halliburton, one of the hugest oil companies in the world. As a matter of fact, when he left to become vice president, Halliburton gave him a $31 million severance pay. Oh yeah. You think he's not going to kiss their ass every time they try to push a bill through? Yes, he is. Because he's got their money in his pocket still. And he's running the country. The country is basically owned by rich oil barons. Plain and simple. And until we demand that it stop, nothing's going to change. It'll go up and up and up. We could kill everybody in the entire Middle East and own all the oil in the world, and we would still pay $5 a gallon, $4 a gallon, because oil companies have to make profits. So,
When the hell are they going to take and increase my pay so I can afford to pay for the damn gas to go to work?
well, if you got a job with an oil company, you probably still wouldn't make it. What can I say? All right. Well, we're ready to go into our St. Patrick's Day theme part of the show, but before we start, a little bit of musical interlude. This is Soup Bone Throne.
Before I let them find out I'm about what I'm about. Don't think too long on things I've said. If you were close enough between the days, you'll see how I change. Just 'cause I'm dreaming don't mean can't touch a thing I feel. And when I wake I'm the same headache that you drugged and tucked in. Outside the future while we're cooped up in the car I'm drinking. I'm living backwards and I'll need some time to let it sink in.
Soup Bone Throne, everybody. Now, they were a band, I don't know how they ended up at the Music Fest, but they were all from like Long Beach, California. Great musicians, and really some great rock and stuff. And of course, that was the last band that we filmed that night. So everybody was real comfortable with their cameras, and we'd been playing all day, experimenting with different shots and different angles. But it was a great band. All right. St. Patrick's Day, March 17th. It's all about St. Patrick, pretty much. He was the patron saint of Ireland, but he wasn't Irish. He was born in Wales to wealthy parents in AD 385, and his given name was Maewyn. Until he was 16 years old, he considered himself a pagan. At 16, he was kidnapped by Irish marauders, and some say that he was sold into slavery at that age. He escaped after 6 years and went to Gaul and studied in the monastery. He was at the monastery for 12 years, and it was during this time that he became aware that it was his calling to convert the pagans to Christianity. So eventually he returned to Ireland, and he had hoped to become the Bishop of Ireland, but Palladius was appointed. And after 2 years, Palladius moved on someplace else. I can't remember. But at that point, St. Patrick was appointed the second bishop to Ireland. So he was a great guy, and he was great at winning converts. And he was converting the masses. He was so successful, as a matter of fact, that it really upset the Celtic Druids. And Patrick was arrested several times and escaped each time. He traveled through Ireland, establishing monasteries across the country to help with his conversions. He also set up schools and churches to aid him in his mission. His mission lasted 30 years. And I didn't write it down, but I believe within 200 years of Patrick's arrival, Ireland was basically completely Christian. So, he died on March 17th, AD 461, and it's been celebrated pretty much since then. A lot of folklore surrounds St. Patrick. Folklore such as he raised the dead. It's said that he raised the dead. It's said that he supposedly gave a sermon from a hilltop with nothing but his shillelagh, or walking stick, at his side, and banished all the snakes from Ireland. Andrew, you're going to die. The problem is, there were never any snakes native to Ireland, ever. So what a lot of people say is that this story is basically a metaphor for the conversion of the pagans. He drove all the pagans out of Ireland and converted everybody to Christianity. So, he's the reason that we celebrate. The Irish have celebrated for thousands of years on March 17th. And it's a religious holiday. It falls during the holiday of Lent. And Irish families would generally attend church in the morning, and then they'd celebrate in the afternoon. The Lenten prohibitions against the consumption of meat were waived for St. Patrick's Day, and they danced, drunk, and feasted on the traditional meal of Irish bacon and cabbage. I'm not sure if Irish bacon is what we consider corned beef or not, but I didn't look it up, sorry. Do a little work yourselves. Look up Irish bacon. Google it. Oh, maybe don't Google it. Who knows what you'll come up with if you Google Irish bacon.
Now, did you find out if the 17th signified any specific date, like his birthday?
It was the date of his death.
Okay, date
Yep.
of his passing. Cool.
Yep. Until the 1970s, in Ireland, Irish laws mandated that pubs be closed on St. Patrick's Day. It kind of takes the holiday and takes all the air out of it for us Americans, doesn't it? Yeah, because St. Patrick's Day to us is a day to get drunk. But yeah, they were closed until the 70s. And starting in 1995, the Irish government began a national campaign to use St. Patrick's Day as an opportunity to drive tourism and showcase Ireland to the rest of the world. So, in Ireland, they have huge celebrations in Ireland. But first, a little bit about the history. In the United States, the first St. Patrick's Day parade took place in the United States, and it was when Irish soldiers serving in the English military marched through New York City in 1762. It was an effort to reconnect with their Irish roots, was what it was, a chance to get together with their comrades from Ireland that were also fighting in I believe, the British military. Over the next 35 years after 1762, Irish patriotism flourished, and it gave rise to what became known as Irish aid societies, such as the Friendly Sons of St. Patrick and the Hibernian Society, which became very popular among the Irish as a way to stick together. Now, let's remember, these were all immigrants. Most of these people back in the 1700s, 1800s were immigrants. And they hung, as did all the other immigrants from different countries. They formed their own little neighborhoods. And until the mid-19th century, actually, let me jump one of these facts. 4.8 million immigrants from Ireland have been admitted for lawful residence in the United States since fiscal year 1820. And between 1820 and 1870, half of that 4.8 million came to the United States. So it was a huge influx. And until the mid-19th century, most Irish immigrants were members of the Protestant middle class. Once the Great Potato Famine hit Ireland in 1845, close to 1 million poor, uneducated Catholic Irish people came to escape starvation from their country. Give us the land, you're poor and starving. You know, come to America, we'll help you. The thing is, when they got together to celebrate their St. Patrick's Day heritage, you know, this wasn't for Americans, this was an Irish holiday. Newspapers back then portrayed them as drunk, violent monkeys. Hardcore racism, or heritageism, or whatever you want to call it. They were Irish, they were different, so they were horrible. You know. But that's the way we treated them, because they were different. Until the Irish realized that their numbers alone gave them tremendous political power. And that's when they organized. And it became known as the Green Machine. And it was a very important swing vote for political candidates. Probably almost like the Mexicans are now. You know? And at that point, parades became a must attend for political candidates. And all the political people showed up at the St. Patrick's Day parades hoping to get the support of the Irish. 1948, President Truman actually attended the parade in New York City. Yeah. So that's a little history of the Irish people in America. And they were subjected to horrible, horrible things. You know, it was one of these, you know, the want ads. You'd read the want ads, and it actually said, no Irish. You know, if you're Irish, no Irish need apply. And now I believe that in places like New York and stuff, and Chicago, a lot of the policemen and firemen were all of Irish descent. A lot of Irish families were in those type of occupations back then. Let's talk about the celebration these days. Dublin, Ireland, the capital of Ireland, has a 4-day festival that runs from March 15th to 19th. And it features parades, family carnivals, treasure hunts, dancing, theater, fireworks, you name it. Huge festival. And it's apparently the biggest one in the world. Last year, close to 1 million people took part in that festival. In America, parades are generally held the Sunday before the 17th. So, just because, I mean, I don't know, does anybody have St. Patrick's Day off? Is it like a national, I don't think it's a national holiday, is it?
They're trying to make a Guinness plan, you know, like the beer companies trying to make it a national holiday.
Oh, the beer companies are trying to make it national, okay. Yeah, of course.
I wonder why,
Yeah. In Chicago, they actually dye the Chicago River green. The entire river.
That's a good way to spend the taxpayers' money.
Yeah, and it's a special dye. It only lasts a few hours.
Environmentally safe, I'm
And then
sure.
it's probably environmentally safe.
But all
And
the fish come out green.
but I mean, that's kind of cool. A lot of towns will, on their main streets for their parade, they'll restripe their main streets with green lines instead of yellow lines. Isn't that weird?
I know back in the 70s, over in Hinsdale, that river over there used to be different colors depending on what day they were, you know, what color they were using in the paper mill up the
Yep.
road a little ways.
We used to have Beaver Brook that runs down behind Grove Street and all that, from Water Street down that way. There was a paint plant right there, and that little brook used to be a different color every day when I was a kid. Weird stuff. But probably didn't hurt anybody. Yeah, back to the Irish anyway. Let's talk about some symbols of St. Patrick's Day in the Irish. The shamrock, pretty much the biggest symbol. And no, leprechauns have nothing to do with St. Patrick's Day. I'm sorry. I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, but leprechauns in Ireland are not the little cute leprechaun we see today. A leprechaun in Irish folklore, leprechauns were kind of curmudgeon-y little people that worked on shoes. And they were grumpy and they were mischievous. And then, I should have wrote this part down, but I didn't. The movie, back years ago, Disney may put out the movie. Darby O'Gill and the Little People. That's right, thank you, Andrea. And that was what gave America its cute little view of the leprechauns.
And Sean Connery was in that.
But again, like I said, leprechauns have nothing to do with St. Patrick's Day. But the shamrock, on the other hand, a tale has it that Patrick once used the three-leafed shamrock, which is also called the seamroy by the Celtic people, Patrick used the three-sided shamrock to explain the Trinity. And he used it to represent how the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit could all exist as separate separate elements of the same entity. So thus, it's fairly good luck. It's a sacred plant in Ireland, and it symbolizes the rebirth of spring, which is pretty much a lot of people look at St. Patrick's Day as like the maybe a pre-spring celebration, you know, the first green of spring. But in the 17th century, as the English began to seize Irish land and made laws against the use of the Irish language and the practice of Catholicism, many people started to wear the shamrock as a symbol of pride in their heritage and a displeasure with English rule. So it was kind of a statement kind of a thing. You know, no matter what you do to us, we've got the shamrock, we're strong, we're a proud people, pretty much. But each leaf on the shamrock means something. Of course it does. First leaf is for hope. The second leaf is for faith. And the third leaf is for love. And if you're lucky enough to find a four-leaf clover, the fourth leaf is for luck. Yeah. Maybe a couple things you may want to know in case you get the urge to go out and look for a four-leaf clover. There are 10,000 regular three-leaf clovers for every four-leaf clover. Sorry. Not that easy to find. And according to Guinness Book, the highest number of leaves ever found on a clover was 14. Somebody's got that pressed in a book somewhere, you can guarantee. All right. So that's the shamrock, anyway. Like I said, a shillelagh is the walking stick. And I happened to think last night when it was too late to do anything about it, the Blarney Stone. I mean, I don't think it actually has anything to do with St. Patrick's Day, but it's a big Irish thing, and I was going to look up some information, but I don't.
I think it's a big rock fell on a guy named Blarney.
I know it's a big rock, and I believe it's akin to like Plymouth Rock. They've got it down inside a pit with a fence around it so nobody can go near it, and it's special. People kiss it for good luck, yes. Some facts. Facts about the Irish and other stupid things. 34 million Americans have Irish ancestry. That's from a 2003 census. I don't know how many Americans there are. But, I mean, 34 million, that's a lot, considering that the population of Ireland is 4.1 million. Yeah, they're doing well here, flourishing in the United States. Yes, Bruce, did you have something you wanted to jump in with?
For all those folks at home who are Irish, please raise your hand.
Yes, there you go. If you're Irish, raise your hand. I've been looking for a T-shirt that says, "I'm not Irish, but kiss me anyway." Just so I don't feel left out. 3 states in the United States where Irish is the leading ancestry group: Delaware, Massachusetts, and yes, New Hampshire. Yep. Apparently, we have large Irish descendancy in the New Hampshire population. And like I said earlier, 4.8 million immigrants from Ireland have been admitted. I read this following part here and was amazed. Median income of Irish American families is $51,937 average. The national average is $46,242. So as a whole, Irish Americans make more than regular people. Good. 9% of Irish Americans were in poverty. The national average is 13%. So there were less Irish Americans in poverty than there were nationally. Amazing, huh? How about this one? 72% of Irish American families own their own homes. National average of people that own their own homes is 67%. Sounds like a pretty stable group of people for people that we once called a bunch of drunk, violent monkeys. Among civilian Irish Americans over age 16, 39 of them work in the management or professional in occupations. 28% work in sales or office occupations. 15% in service occupations. 10% in production, transportation, occupations related to that. 9% work in construction, maintenance, and repair occupations. So it's a pretty diverse group. But the majority is management and professional skills. Now here's some stupid facts. Just because I figured you wanted to know. 41.6 billion pounds of U.S. beef and 2.4 billion pounds of cabbage were sold in 2005. It's a lot of cabbage. It's a lot of Beano. Americans consume 21.6 gallons of beer per capita. I don't know what per capita is. I think that's per capful. Something like big caps. I don't know. And in 2004, there were 387 breweries registered in the United States. Because, after all, to us heathenistic Americans,
And 12 of them belong to Budweiser.
yeah, and according to us Americans, filthy, disgraceful Americans, St. Patrick's Day is all about the drink.
It
But-
was the English immigrants that brought beer making to the United States. The original founding fathers were beer makers.
This is true, yes. Yes, all right. All right. But remember, this is a religious holiday.
But
We've
Americans
kinda-
have always loved their beer.
We've kind of twisted that, and I'm sure that there'll be a number of places in Keene this weekend that will be selling green beer. I don't know. It would be easier just to drink out of green bottles, but most of the green bottled beer is German, so that doesn't work.
It's kind of surprising because Ireland's famous for the potatoes that they always take over, you know.
So it seems like they would have discovered vodka.
Yeah. What's
But,
up with that?
no, sorry.
You can't make beer from potatoes.
Sorry. And no matter how much you drink on St. Patrick's Day, drive safe, for God's sakes. Or don't drive. Stay home and drink. If that's your gig on St. Patrick's Day, stay home and drink. I mean, you can put food coloring in your beer at home and it still turns green. It does. Before you drink, though, at the very least, St. Patrick's Day is about the toast. And it's all about what you say when you're drinking. And that's what it is. I've got a few examples. You can make up your own or you can use one of mine. How about this one? May God bring good health to your enemies' enemies. It's a nice thing to say, isn't it? Or this one. May you live to be 100 years with one extra to repent. Yeah, because apparently the Irish do like to fool around and have a good time. May you be in heaven 1/2 hour before the devil knows you're dead. Bit of wisdom, huh? May the best day of your past be the worst day of your future. Special, huh? May you get all your wishes but one, so you always have something to strive for. Yeah. I kind of like this one. May your fire be as warm as the weather is cold. Yeah, nice, huh? Here's another one that signifies you're wishing somebody a long life. May the sons of your daughters smile up in your face. Sad, huh? Andrea, you're not tearing up in there, are you? Okay. May you never forget what is worth remembering or remember what is best forgotten. May you have warm words on a cold evening, a full moon on a dark night, and the road downhill all the way to your door. My favorite one of all. I've got a few more if I need more time. But this was my favorite. Here's to your coffin. May it be built of 100-year-old oaks, which I will plant tomorrow. Yeah. And then there's some of the old standards, like here's to you, here's to me, the best of friends will always be, but if we ever disagree, forget about you, here's to me. I mean, that's, a lot of people probably heard that with different wording at the end there. There are many good reasons for drinking. One has just entered my head. If a man doesn't drink when he's living, how the hell can he drink when he's dead? Here's an old Irish recipe for longevity. Leave the table hungry, leave the bed sleepy, and leave the bar thirsty. You'll live a long and healthy life. And you're thirsty and hungry all the time, yeah. Here's another good one. I've drunk to your health in pubs. I've drunk to your health in my home. I've drunk to your health so many times, I've almost ruined my own. Yeah, because the Irish like to drink. And if you go to Ireland, that's the only place that they've made drinking an art form.
Isn't that kind of stereotypical?
They practice it. And there's no AA meetings.
Been there? Do you
I've-
know this for a fact?
I've never been there, but I've heard things. I've heard things.
I've heard things.
I've heard there's no AA meetings in Ireland because if there's any meetings, they're in bars. So, Jesus. Did we get, that wasn't on the soundtrack, was it? Crap. Better finish up quick. It's going to start stinking in here. Wasn't me, it was Greg.
You got about 5 more minutes. I'm glad the door's closed.
Okay. As you slide down the banister of life, may the splinters never point the wrong way. That's another good one. All right. I've still got a few minutes. What, I got 5 minutes? 6 minutes? I opened the Sentinel yesterday, on Thursday, and saw a story. A woman that stayed in her boyfriend's bathroom for 2 years. You didn't. Oh, Rob, check this out when you get home, Rob. This is hilarious. Apparently, and I don't know why, what caused it. It's just too funny. Eventually, after 2 years, the boyfriend called somebody and told them she wouldn't come out of the bathroom. They had to pry the toilet seat off of the toilet because her skin had grown around it.
Oh, gross. Jesus Christ.
Who needs help? Her for staying in the bathroom for 2 years? Or him for letting it go on for 2 years? Apparently, he must have had a second bathroom. to go, all right, just stay in there. Unbelievable story. I don't know. And I just kind of skimmed over it real fast, so I can probably talk about it real fast, and that's all I know. So that's it. I mean, she was in it. He was bringing her food and stuff, but she just refused to come out of the bathroom. Maybe it was pizza or like omelets or something. Omelets or soup. Let me talk about an upcoming event. And I'm going to work on next week, this coming week, I'm going to work on a actual promo that Cheshire TV is going to be showing. But I want to talk about the Spring Bling. That's right. The ladies of the Rainbow Lounge are returning to the Moose Lodge to benefit AIDS services of the Monadnock region. Hosted by Mama Mayhem. It's going to be at the Moose Lodge on, oh, you think we can show it? All right. We'll show it then. And there's the phone number, too, 357-6855. Call for info and ticket information. Will be held on Friday, March 28th. And I believe it will air. I'm going to work on it. I asked Lee if I could do the entire thing this year. Titles and everything. And he agreed. So, because I did the directing last year with a lot of good volunteer help that I had working cameras and stuff. But Lee did all the titles on the computer. But now that I'm getting a little bit more savvy with the computer, a little bit more exposure to it, I've asked if I could do the titles for the show and the credits. So I'll get that put together the beginning of the following week after March 28th and hopefully have it air within a week. So guaranteed to be a great show, a funny show, a filthy show. It's great. The doors open at 8. The show starts at 9 on Friday, March 28th, and it's at the Moose Lodge. Great benefit for AIDS services. And Susan packs that place every year, so get in touch with her quick and get your tickets. Next week's show. Oh, and the contest, yes. Want to remind everybody about our contest. Email me the date that it will turn 70 degrees for the first time in Keene, and the winner will win something springy and not a spring. Next week's show, we've got some scheduling conflicts that Lee asked me if I could rearrange for because they're going to be filming, I believe, New Hampshire Dance Institute show next Thursday as well as City Council. So I'm putting together another flashback episode, another clips. So it'll have from episode 50 up through present time. And next on No Spin, Chris and Randy are joined by State Representatives Tim Robertson and Chuck Weed. They're going to talk about like state things, what's going on in the State House, you know, what's going on in Concord, how they like traveling back and forth. I don't know, because I think they go back and forth. I think they both live in Keene, but they travel back and forth to Concord. So we'll ask how the drive is. I want to thank my crew, Rob and Greg and Bruce and Andrea. Tarzan, we miss you, buddy. I want to thank Cheshire TV, thank Mom's Tattoo, Gemini Screen Print. Thank everybody for watching. I'll see you in 2 weeks. Peace.